Hey everyone, welcome to the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I'm the Clydesdale and I'm your host. And we love to do fitness, and these are my friends.
Hey.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Speaking of fitness, I just did some fitness right now. That's why I look like that.
I did fitness like 7 hours ago, but I've been coaching ever since, so this is my fitness look.
And I am supposed to be released to do fitness on Tuesday.
There you go.
So do you want to hear a really funny story? Not funny, haha, but funny, ironic.
Yes.
Is, I think it was episode 62. We did the Aaron Smith story about a girl in our gym. So I have a home nurse that comes in to change the dressing on my pick line. And we're sitting there talking, and he found out I did a podcast. He was asking me questions. And my wife said to him, hey, there's this really cool episode about this girl from Columbus who was in a motorcycle accident. And Scott did a big podcast kind of documentary on it. And that's one you should check out if you're going to check one out. And he goes, oh my gosh, I was the trauma nurse on duty in the hospital that night.
No.
So he was her trauma nurse the night of that accident. Is that not crazy?
I mean, that's so, that like gives me chills.
So that was really kind of cool to get his perspective as to what happened.
Did you share that with Amy and Marcus?
I shared it with you, Amy, and Marcus, but I have not with the other Amy.
Okay.
So something else. Do you guys know what Sunday is?
Daylight savings. End of daylight savings.
It is end of daylight savings, but something bigger.
It's the first of the month? I don't know.
It's the 1-year anniversary of the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends.
Yay. That's exciting.
Yeah, in 1 year, this is episode 81. 81 episodes, not counting our Clydesdale After Dark YouTube episodes, not counting the Clydesdale, Amy, and Charlie episodes. So we're getting close to 90 episodes we've done in 1 year.
Did you ever think?
No.
Yeah. No.
And then the other crazy thing is that today we hit our 50th country. We have a listener now from the Sudan.
Cool.
They've listened to at least 6 episodes. And now we've hit 50 countries that we have listeners in around the world.
What?
That's super awesome.
Are we getting any more new merch soon?
Yeah, I am actually going to look at a different vendor because right now the stuff coming from the vendor I used is taking forever.
Yeah.
Last time we did a run, I just got a couple of the shirts to the people like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So it was a little crazy with that. So I'm looking at a different vendor, and hopefully we'll have something out in the near future, maybe for Christmas.
Hey. Sorry, my dog.
Maybe for Christmas, yeah.
So before we get really into this episode, 1 year anniversary, guess what I got today?
Oh, the wine. Nice.
The goat wine from Margot Alvarez, and also the Cheerston.
I want to try that one so badly.
So I have 4 bottles, 2 of each. I'm saving 2 for a team building moment with the podcast so that we can try these and maybe record it for on air.
That would be cool.
So that I'm saving 2 of those just for us.
Yeah. I'm in the unfortunate state of Delaware where they don't deliver the wine to. So I'm trying to find an address in Pennsylvania because I'm literally a quarter of a mile away from Pennsylvania. I need to find somebody where I can order it there and pick it up because I really want to try that Cheerston.
So hopefully we can get a team building thing put together soon.
Yeah.
And do something live together and record it. So that would be cool, especially since we just celebrated 1 year and we are kicking butt. And the lineup we have sitting on my board over there is unreal. So we need a huge shout out to our sponsor who has helped us get here, RX Smart Gear.
So you want to hear my funny story about RX Smart Gear?
Okay.
So I have a 15-year-old athlete who's been training with me for about a year and a half now. She is, she's not necessarily like a sports athlete, but she's got the potential to be really strong. And she's actually taken an interest now in CrossFit, like specifically CrossFit. So we have our eyes set on the Open in February. And a couple things that we need to work on: pull-ups, toast bar, and jump rope. So we don't usually do jump rope with her. We've been doing like plate jumps and just running and things. So I gave her a bunch of jump ropes to try. The problem is she's 5'11", and didn't really have anything that she could use. I mean, I had one that I could adjust and use, but I got her to order an RX Smart Gear jump rope, because I have one with the handles, and showed her sort of how it worked and explained the whole, different size cables and weights. And I talked to her mom when her mom dropped her off, and she said, "Can you just order it for her and I'll pay you back, because you know what size and everything else." And I said, "Okay, what kind of handles you want?" She's like, "I want the leopard print." I said, "Good choice." And then she said, "What kind of cable do you want?" And she said black. So I'm going through the whole thing, and I'm so excited, and I'm ordering it for her. And I hit send, and guess what I forgot? Clydesdale 15, all caps, to get 15% off that damn jump rope. So a reminder to everybody, don't forget the discount code. We love that you're supporting RX Smart Gear, but do yourself a favor and get a little bit of a discount on anything that's not a new release or special edition. That is my reminder for the week.
That's the problem. The products are so cool, like leopard print.
I know,
they
so
have like
cool.
the Vans checkerboard, all the colors you can imagine in the cables and the handles. And you get so excited that you forget, hey, I can save 15%.
Yep.
Don't forget, get that 15% off Clydesdale 15, all caps. So the next thing, we are working with RX Smart Gear on a special incentive that we're going to give more details about as we kind of move forward. But it's our road to 1,000 subscribers. Hashtag road to 1,000.
Yeah. Where are we right now?
Not close.
We got to go. Come on.
So we're at 175, but
okay.
Going into games weekend, we're at 110. We're up to 175. Tell your friends, tell your family, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. If we get 1,000 subscribers, we can do so many cool things with you guys on like live remotes from different sanctionals. We can do live. We could have done live during the games.
Right. We could have chats where people could actually just interact with us right away, instead of just waiting until this airs and then going on the comments. I'm really excited for that.
And so what we're doing is we're going to have a contest, like a little incentive, if you subscribe to our channel, and we'll give you all the details on how to do that so that we can recognize you as a subscriber. You could win some merch from RX Smart Gear.
We just got one more subscriber.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah.
I just told somebody here in my household, hey.
It's as easy as that.
Everybody needs to just click the
no
subscribe button.
cost, no fee, just hit a button. That's all we're asking. And hopefully you hit the button, you see some of our stuff, and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you tell
I'm glad
some
I
more
hit
friends.
that button.
Yeah.
And you could just win
please.
something for free. So that's even more incentive.
Yeah. A really awesome jump rope, maybe a drag rope. We don't know. We're still in talks with RX to see what they want to put together on these packages. So we'll let you know as soon as we do, and probably put something out, maybe record like a little promo for this for next week.
Very cool.
Next on the agenda is we released a Beyond the Journal episode yesterday. Just want to make everybody aware. Terry Sloyer, who is a lawyer.
I was just about to ask that as just because it made me want to. That's awesome.
What an amazing story. A woman who overcame a lot of obstacles with a pretty rough childhood, then overcame addiction, to then become an attorney. And the story of how she figured out she was an addict is really just almost like my jaw dropped. It's not like it's just a weird way how she figured out she was an addict. She thought she was a food addict, and I'll just leave it there. And that kind of led to realizing it was way worse than that. She went to law school on the kind of pushed by somebody else. And now she's an advocate for a lot of different things. She definitely is active in her beliefs.
Yeah.
She has
And
strong
really
beliefs.
intelligent, super smart.
Super smart.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is she has these strong beliefs, but she just doesn't tell you about them. She actually acts on them.
Yeah.
And she said she loves running. I don't know who would be like that.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and she's actually participating in a race at the end of the year where she's going to run 55 miles. And she's looking for sponsorships for fundraising on that. So we leave a link in the Beyond the Journal post on our YouTube channel with that interview where you can donate or sponsor Terry on her run. And it is for the Snow Foundation, which raises funds to create scholarship opportunities for pediatric cancer patients and survivors. So a really cool cause for those dealing with pediatric cancer or those survivors of pediatric cancer. So,
and the last thing I'll leave you with, it kind of bleeds over to us, is she has very strong feelings about what HQ went through this year.
Oh, I love it when people have strong feelings and express them.
Yeah. So check that one out. Just released yesterday. It's on our YouTube channel, just with this one as well. So check it out. It's accompanying, or if you want to listen to your podcast, it's on all the major podcast platforms under Beyond the Journal with the Clydesdale and Cat. So now we want to just kind of do a final wrap up of the games. We did those Clydesdale After Darks each day, just a final wrap up of the games. And so I'm just going to do it in question form. We kind of texted this back and forth over the course of this week, and it just seemed to be the most natural way. So was the final event truly the most challenging event ever? And I'll start with Amy.
I don't know if I could just, I think that's volume wise, yes. I think if we were just looking at a sheer amount of volume, I would think so. Although, I mean, it's really hard to answer that, because I think that, just as an athlete, we all have different strengths and challenges that might be, harder. Like, I think some people work better as a sprint kind of workout, where for me, sprint workouts are really challenging. I have a much harder time pacing a sprint workout than I do a much longer workout like Murph. So I think it's hard for me to answer that as far as just determining on as an umbrella of what every athlete thinks. Do I think volume wise it was the most challenging? I do. I think the movements were high skill. And with that heavy, with a weight vest and that amount of volume, I think it was pretty darn challenging.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Amy that in terms of calling something the hardest workout, it's really in the eye of the beholder, right? In the eye of the athlete. So depending on who you ask, of those last 10 athletes, you're probably going to get a different answer. It certainly wasn't the hardest workout for Tiamat, right? I mean, it didn't look like anything. I actually would have liked to have seen that workout earlier in the programming, like maybe even the first event, because it would have just been super interesting to see how Matt and Tia would have tackled it.
Yeah.
Because in reality, they completed it, but they didn't attack it. They didn't have to. And so that's kind of where I'm, and people are like, well, everyone's hands were ripped. Well, not everyone's hands were ripped. Only a few people's hands were ripped. And my reply to that is, that's part of being an elite athlete, right? Is being able to take care of your hands and figure out.
I can tell myself when I rip my hands. That's just part of being an elite athlete.
You're not elite, Amy. But, it's just part of the struggle that is the CrossFit Games, right? In terms of that toughness that you need from a mental perspective and that physical grittiness that you need. So I wished it had come earlier in the week, or the weekend.
If that was the case, jumping in the pool with those hands would have been awful.
Mm-hmm.
Really? You think?
Oh my gosh. when I was a swimmer, we used to shave our legs, and I cut my leg,
Yeah.
and the burn in that cut from the chlorine was awful.
Yeah, that might have been like a bougie saltwater pool, though. Who knows?
Salt probably not any better than chlorine.
That's true.
No, that's like saline. That's like saline. I think it would be better.
Soothing. It would be soothing to those hands.
I agree. I think it'd be more healing.
I think this is what I would say to the overall brutalness of that workout. It is movements done at a volume that nobody really trains. It's never been done like that before. And that's
Agreed.
probably where they were thinking this is going to be the hardest workout ever, because it was, like Amy said, high skill. And and I love this analogy. I think it might've been who we were talking to last night, which people will see in a future episode, but it's not Murph. It's not that every year thing that we all kind of do and is more low skill. This is high skill. Like, we do 100 pull-ups on Murph with a weighted vest. This is 300, 3 times that. That's insane to me. And really, I loved what they said last night, is that this is an elite athlete only workout.
Right. Please don't try it at home.
Right. It's just, you're going to do nothing but damage to your body.
Yeah. It reminds me of the marathon row when I think half the people that I know in CrossFit got the idea, I want to try the marathon row. And I said, if you'd like to train for a marathon row, talk to me in 6 months, and see how you do. But please don't just take a long Saturday afternoon and try to do a marathon row.
Yeah, that's like me saying to you, Kat, why don't you come run a marathon with zero training?
If you had said come run a 10K, that would that would kill me.
Like, you have to train for that. When I've done marathons, I've trained for 3 months.
Right.
For that specific skill, not all these other ones. So
I could see, some of the other elite athletes that, didn't go to the games trying it. And I could see sort of a group of people that are sort of on the bubble there, like those regional level athletes that are maybe training for it just as a thing that they want to do in the future, hopefully. But yeah, can we not even try to like do this at our affiliates?
I'd like to see Leftress and Ricky try it and then report
head
back.
to head.
Yep.
The last thing I want to say is that I think having it at the end also made it a little more brutal. Yeah, Matt and Tia didn't attack it, but you just did this whole weekend. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the Buttery Bros Day 3. It came out late this afternoon. And there's footage of Jeffrey Adler talking about how wrecked he was after the trail run.
Oh, I believe that.
That he just says, like, I was not right until I fell asleep. And then he said, I was hurting the whole next day because of that trail run. And I love that honesty, because, most of the time the athlete's like, oh yeah, not too bad. We're, stretch out, mobility, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, man, that thing killed me.
Yeah, we commented too when we were texting each other about Haley Adams, and how when Nikki asked her, how she was feeling, and she was very honest about that she didn't have a really good night and she didn't sleep very well, and something was going on with her stomach. And I mean, that's interesting, because athletes don't usually ever sort of let on that they're hurting. So yeah, I thought that was sort of telltale that it's more probably a maturity thing for her than anything else. But I thought that was interesting as well.
Yeah. So I think if he said that about the trail run, and he didn't do very well at Atlanta either. So, yeah. Interesting. So the next question, and this is from Kat. I want to give her full credit because she's the one that believes that Matt's retiring and all of that. So apparently she believes something's up with Dave. Will Dave Castro still be the director of the CrossFit Games next year, right?
Yeah, so I'll give you just a little background on why I went there. Dave Castro and Justin Berg, I think, are the only 2 people left from the old regime. that I'm aware of. And I don't have, the inside track on that, but I think they're
Matt's still there.
Matt Bishel, right?
Yeah.
Social media guy. I don't know that he's old regime though. I mean, I know he's Glassman regime, but I don't know how, OG he is. Just kind of wanted to throw it out there to see what people think, because a lot of things are changing and we don't have a rule book, and no one's really talked about next year except for the Open, and nobody knows when the games are, and there are sanctioned events scheduled, but are they actually happening? I don't know. There's lots of question marks when it comes to what's happening. And I think these athletes sort of need to know sooner than February 18th, what's happening. And I just wonder if there's going to be a, changing of the guard.
So my answer is I believe he will be the director of the CrossFit Games next year. And one of the reasons is a point I have later in the agenda, but I think that Eric Rosa is a businessman. He's not like a sports director, and at this point, he doesn't know what he doesn't know about all that, and so he's going to have to rely on the old regime if he trusts them. And there's been nothing that I've seen to show that Eric Rosa doesn't trust what Dave pulled off. And so I think he will be back. And I guess we can get into this now. I'll just say it so that the viewership of the CrossFit Games came out. And this weekend, there were over 11 million viewers of the CrossFit Games. They averaged about 3.7 million a day. That was up from 2.9 million last year.
Yes, but.
And that does not include the CBS ratings or Pluto TV.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
Last year's games, we did not have COVID. So I just think that viewership could be up just because, in addition, because this is something to watch. This is something for people to do.
Right. No, good point. And I also think, I just think controversy brings attention, and,
Sure.
There couldn't have been more controversy and turmoil in the world of CrossFit, this summer and around this game season.
But let me be devil's advocate.
Sure.
Because that's who I am. We also had the World Series going on and NFL football and college football going on the same weekend, which they have never had to compete with.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention. Did anyone pay attention to the World Series this year? I didn't. I'm a huge baseball fan.
No.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that it was could have been a game. The game could have been over. The series could have been over last night. Didn't even know.
I did pay attention to college football, and I know that my team won and Schweitzer's team did not. Although they're playing each other this Saturday.
They are. But those are audience stealers.
Yeah.
Because the NFL is the highest rated TV program on, and college football rakes in high viewership. Plus, there are baseball fans that were watching the World Series. Those are sports that would take away from a sport like CrossFit.
Yeah, but you also, that stuff's on YouTube and you can watch it whenever. So it's not like, I imagine it would have been different if it was just, these are the times that it's on and this is when you have to watch, versus you can watch it whenever. I mean, a lot of people that I talked to that did watch it, they waited until the end of the day so that they could go on YouTube and just watch instead of having to wait the hour in between and see all the info, the commercials that they had or whatever else. And just from my own reaching out to my general area, it seemed like a lot of people that I expected to watch it didn't watch it. Now, I'm not saying the numbers are the numbers, right? So I'm excited that the ratings are up, and I think that's awesome.
Devil's advocate. If the people you expect to watch it aren't the ones watching it, then they must be pulling in viewers from somewhere.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm super excited that that's the case. I just don't necessarily think that translates into Dave gets to keep his job. That's all.
So with your next question, that also backs up kind of my thing, right? So your next question was, who should be the next director of the CrossFit Games?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really hard time with this.
Yeah.
So my initial thought was, well, I'll let someone else go first.
Well, I only brought that up because there have been rumors that Rich Froning was going to program for the CrossFit Games. And it brings up just a lot of conflicts of interest and, how would that work? Because he's got athletes. So you'd have to think of somebody, if someone was going to run the CrossFit Games aside from Dave, it would have to be somebody who, here's what I think the criteria should be. Someone who is an experienced CrossFit Games athlete, somebody who's no longer competing, someone who is not a coach of potential CrossFit Games athletes, probably someone that hasn't had long ties to HQ necessarily, from a administrative perspective. You're not going to take like somebody within, like Matt Mitchell's not going to be, the CrossFit Games guy. And you have to take a look at things like programming and, advocacy and all that kind of stuff. I would think to pick the right person.
So in my mind, it was a lot of that stuff. Plus they had to be an affiliate owner at some point where programming was something they did daily.
Mm-hmm.
So who'd you come up with?
I didn't come up with a person because I don't know.
I did.
Go ahead. We played this game and we thought like who could buy CrossFit too. And, we came up with some crazy ideas.
So the quickest thought to my mind was Pat Sherwood.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's at HQ, he's been more
he's on
like
the
health side and stuff like that. But he's infamous for the way he programs things, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's known as like this genius programmer. So that popped into my head. But then I thought, what would be different, right? This sport is just as popular for women as it is for men. So wouldn't it be cool if the next director was a woman?
Nicole Carroll?
No.
Okay.
I think Sam Briggs.
Oh, that's interesting.
She's really past her competitive phase of her career. We think, she may get a new chip or something in the Terminator skeleton next year. Who knows? But we think she's kind of past that. She owned an affiliate in the UK. She's been to several CrossFit Games. She is an ambassador for the sport.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about her programming, right? I don't know that the public knows anything about her programming. That doesn't mean that she's not amazing at it. That's an interesting pick.
It's funny because with your criteria, the famous people that like sell programming or whatever, like they all have athletes.
Right.
So it was trying to find somebody that I knew was a programmer and, and people kind of want to work out with her and people want to come learn from her. So I was just trying to be different because Sherwood's the straight down the fairway, easy.
Yeah, he's kind of an obvious answer too, right?
Where Sam is that kind of outside the box thought. So those were my two.
Along those lines, you could go with maybe someone like Miranda Alcaraz.
She floated into my head. Just
right now, she's not. I think between her and Jason Khalipa, there's like scarlet letters on them though because of the fact that they've got in the past have been sort of blackballed by CrossFit because of what they've done. But that is completely a Greg Glassman thing and not a new regime thing. So it would be interesting to sort of maybe bring them back in the mix. I thought it was funny. People were trying to guess what the final workout was, and people kept saying Devil's Press. And the answer was always, they will never program Devil's Press at the CrossFit Games because they didn't come up with the movement. Someone else did. And that would be Miranda. And so, it was one of those like ego things. They would never, take one of her movements and add it to the games, but she might be a good pick as well. So Amy, sorry, I took your person, huh?
Well, no, I guess I didn't have one person, but in my mind, I was picturing like a board of directors, and I was thinking of some of those OGs. Like I'm thinking Rich, Khalipa, Spieler, you know, and, you know, Miranda, kind of all together, working together as, you know, more of a collaboration. So I didn't really have one like spokesperson necessarily in mind, but just more of a collaboration of those that kind of group.
Which was kind of what the sanctioned events tried to do, like Live and Loud, when they took over Wadapalooza, they tried to come up with this collective of programmers. You know, it was like Ben and I don't know who else, but a bunch of guys sort of coming together to do that, but they all had athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, CJ Martin programs the hell out of an event. I really liked the events at the Masters Fitness Collective that Scott and I were at. And I mean, I know he has there's so many Invictus athletes around and that wouldn't work, but if he were ever wanting to take a step away from coaching, and if they were to give him some opportunity like that, that would be really cool, because his stuff was good. I mean, his was games level stuff. Like they had to change some of it because it was too hard.
And we saw kind of what that conflict of interest can create.
Sure.
Because the athletes could go directly to him and make a complaint about this or that.
Yeah.
The one person I forgot completely about was Josh Bridges.
Mm.
You know, he's programmed rogue.
Yep.
I think he might be he's a little outside the box from even like his thinking is outside the box. Like he did the shooting event and a lot of that stuff that
I know. Dan Bailey.
Yeah, I was thinking Dan too. As soon as he said Josh.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and like Amy was saying, maybe there's not, you know, maybe there's a director, but there's also a programmer, right? They don't necessarily have to be the same person, or, you know, depending on how they want to break out. And listen to me, I'm talking like they're doing it. It's probably not even happening, but it's just fun to sort of think about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And the other part in my logic was this is a time-consuming job. For 3 months out of the year, you are focused on one thing. And that's why I
would argue even longer than that.
I would too. I would too.
I was just being conservative, but I was like, there's no way Rich is leaving Cookeville and the family for that long to go through the testing that's required and
yeah, because you're also programming for the Open.
Maybe Matt Fraser is going to be the director of the CrossFit Games.
He's like, you know what? I'm going to take it even further.
When he's done,
he wants no parts of CrossFit LLC. Let me tell you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He wants to go cash his checks and drive his El Camino off into the woods and
in Vermont,
and shoot his guns and do his stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on.
That was fun.
So who gained the most during this year's games?
You talking athletes? What are you talking about?
I left it open-ended. With the coverage and everything that went on and all the stuff surrounding it, who gained the most? If you need a minute, I can go.
Justin Medeiros.
So I had three things on my list, and Justin Medeiros was one of them.
So yes, I would say Justin. He is the up and coming phenom. He podiumed. He's got the exciting haircut. He never stopped smiling. The kid can't speak without smiling. He's been coming up. He is the first CrossFit athlete that's just a CrossFit athlete. Like he's been training in CrossFit since he was like 9 or something ridiculous.
And he got exposure from the Buttery Bros were just like a magnet to him during the games. And so, and because he has that personality, people just want to be around him.
I definitely think big things for that kid. And if he doesn't get a sponsorship like tomorrow, I'm sure there's plenty of stuff in the works for him. I'm just excited to see who he ends up hanging out with. Yeah. It's exciting for him.
Yeah, I think Chandler gained a lot this weekend. Mm-hmm. Here's a guy that he's slowly been climbing up through the ranks of of CrossFit. And when they show the footage of him and the way, I think I told you guys the story, my wife saying, "Who is that?" And when he had to turn around and run back through the course, he was like, "Yes, sir." And he went and did it. And plus every interview he did, he was funny, he was engaging, he was smart. He had all of those elements. I thought coming into the games, he was close to being the most popular CrossFit athlete we have now.
I love him.
Yeah.
And I
If
think
we could
he
only
did.
get him on the show.
He is even
Tag
better
him.
than that now.
I say all 170 of our subscribers need to just like storm his Instagram.
He was just down the street today.
What?
He was at CFP.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, didn't you should have like
I
given him a
didn't know
t-shirt
till he
or
left.
something. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, it was on Christie's story.
Yeah, we need to tell more of our famous athlete friends that we want to talk to him.
Well, Amy and I need to volunteer up our guest room for when he goes to visit his girlfriend.
Absolutely.
No
There you go.
problem.
And he's got friends in Delaware too. So if he needs to
I'll
come
feed
out here,
him.
he can
I'll
stay
cook
here
him a
too.
meal.
Yep.
So the last thing I had as something that gained was us, the fans. Because we got live competition.
It was awesome.
We got and it was a good, as much as we criticized the programming coming in, for the most part, it was a pretty fun to watch games. And there were some people that pushed Matt, and we got to see a level of Matt that we haven't seen the last couple of years because he had to be that.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, I'm going wider with mine.
Okay.
Mine was, I really think it was the whole CrossFit community that really gained a lot. And here's a couple of thinkings why. This was a really hard year, as we've been talking about, because of all of the changes and the controversy that happened with COVID. And I know we keep talking about it, but it won't go away as much as we wish it would right now. But I go back to thinking about, my son's football team has on the back of their shirts, "Find a way." And it just makes me think about this year, like the same thing with the CrossFit Games. We were all, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? They found a way. They made it happen. And so I think it was for the greater community. It also gives us hope that, hey, our community is still staying together. We're still finding a way to get better physically, but also our community as a whole, because we're making these changes to get better.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, you're right.
And I would be remiss not to say that I think Haley probably gained a lot this weekend too.
Yeah.
But she had a lot coming in. Like, she's been building and building and building. But the way she toughed out that last event with the hands she had, wow. And she really did try to push Tia when she could.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And we can't forget either, like, one of the most underrated female American athletes, Carrie Pierce. I mean, we barely talked about her all weekend because she just was so freaking consistent. She wasn't in last place, so we didn't talk about her. She kind of just hung in the middle the whole time, and just to pull out that win, I think that last event for her really put her on the map. In terms, like, that was probably one of the greatest, single event victories that had the most impact in a long time in a games appearance. So kudos to her. I mean, I know she already has a lot going on with, her ab programming stuff and everything else, but hopefully she gets a lot more recognition, because she has, in the last 3 years, she's been like the #1 American athlete in the Open. And it's just great that she finally got onto the podium. I'm excited for her.
She finished the year as the fittest American.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All but from 16 to 20, all but 1 year. I think 17 was the only year.
Insane.
She wasn't.
And I remember, I think it was her first, it was either regionals or the games. It might have been the same year when she started. She started CrossFit like 7 months before her first regional appearance.
Yeah.
And qualified.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Insane.
So our final topic going into our fun stuff is this year at the games, because of COVID protocols, the athlete amenities were much grander than they've been in the past. All of them had an air-conditioned trailer where they could hang out in between events. My question to you is, I saw a YouTube that it was a Q&A that Christy and Patrick O'Connell did. And Patrick was saying the thing that people would be surprised about is behind the curtain at events, which we've all seen, is not glamorous, right? It's like gym bags thrown in the corner with maybe one of those anti-gravity chairs, but nothing nice back there. And now this year they get all this extra stuff because of COVID protocol. Do you think that moving forward, the athletes will get better accommodations behind the curtain going forward?
I think if they keep the numbers low and they can afford to do that, I think they will. I don't think we're going to see another games where national champions show up and do things. And when we may see fewer than 40. Is that what it was before? They went to that other format. So
yeah, 40.
I don't know. I don't think if they have 40, they're going to have trailers, right? But you're right. They've set the bar very high now for future events. So we'll have to see how they can sort of make that happen. But yeah, I remember too in 2019 the games. A lot of the athletes didn't complain, but it was sort of a big obstacle of them to get used to. Like, they didn't know what the schedule was like. They got told very little about what was happening. They told them just to show up, and then not knowing what to expect and things like that. So this year, clearly, because things were so well planned out, they had a lot more information, a lot more time to sort of mentally prepare and figure out what was happening. So that probably had a positive impact in their performance as well. So yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, hopefully they don't go back to, and take a proverbial step backwards and go into sort of that chaotic environment, because I don't think, it's not the best for the athletes.
Yeah. So let's go to the stupid questions of the week. And this week, they're not really like stupid questions. They're actually kind of games related, because we are wrapping up the games. But question number one is your favorite games moment from 2020.
My favorite is when Matt Fraser came sprinting down the hill and Dave told him to go reverse it and he flicked him off. That was my favorite part. I thought it was funny.
That's a very Amy moment.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Kat?
I think my favorite is the whole last event where, when Matt and Tia were doing everything in lockstep, and when they both went to put their hats on, they got done their handstand push-ups, they went over to the cooler or wherever, and they put their little hats on, and then they, finished all the events together. And at the very end, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but as they were running back around, Matt still had his hat on, and he took it off and threw it over sort of by where Sammy was sitting. And I'm thinking, this is for a photo op, right? Like, he needs to, look cool coming over the finish line. So that was definitely, the most notable moment for me is the two of them together. Just insane.
I have two, so I'm trying to just pick one. And because you said that she's always underrated, my favorite moment is Carrie Pierce coming off the pull-ups, knowing that she has to win to stay in third and get separation from Haley. And after all of that volume, hauling ass out of the park and down around the bend, so that when Katrin came off the bar, she couldn't see her.
Mm-hmm.
The mental fortitude that took her, because running is not her strong suit, but to pick it up right there, to get out and go. And she never really slowed down until coming up the hill into the finish kind of gate area. She kind of stumbled a little bit. I think her legs were starting.
Yeah,
to
I
turn
thought
to
she was
jello.
going to puke for real.
But I'll give that as my favorite moment because you're right. She is underrated and she needs more kudos. And that was like, I had goosebumps when she did that, coming off that and just taking off. So let's go with that one. And our second one is, if you were forced to do one of this year's games workouts, which one would it be? And we're recommending that nobody does Atalanta.
Fair enough.
So follow-up question. Does this have to be done prescribed, or could this be a modified version of that?
I mean, I would say that it should be as prescribed as possible.
Okay. Then my answer would be to do the burpee run thruster one. Because I think I could do that, not nearly with their time, but I think I could do all those movements at that weight.
Happy star.
Right. I also picked that one, so I'm going to pick something else now.
Oh, sorry.
I think I would like to do the bike rope climb one. So I couldn't do legless rope climbs, but I could do regular rope climbs. And I think it would just be fun to like spin around the corners on the bike. I think that would be cool.
I still love
that's what I'm doing.
I still love the way Matt looked like a 13-year-old BMX racer going around those bends. You can tell he's done that in his past.
Yeah.
So mine, it's going to be a shocker, a big shocker. Swimming stuff.
Yeah.
Swimming stuff, because I love assault bike. D balls are no big deal for me. Swimming, I love, and it would just be the GHDs. Would my back survive 10 reps?
It's only 10.
But yeah, that would definitely be mine.
When are we doing them?
You got access to a pool?
We'll have to work on that. We'll see. Maybe when we have our little team building, we'll have to get after those.
Yeah, bring our GHD and plop it at the hotel pool.
And the bikes, yes.
How long would it take you
to police?
How long would it take you in a hotel pool to swim that? How many laps would that be?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of turns.
It's like swimming in a jacuzzi there.
Oh, all right. So that was our stupid questions of the week. And so now this is the time we announce who our guest is going to be next week. And so the first thing I need to say is it's been, we've been at this a year, pounding the pavement, pounding the phones, text messaging, emailing, DMing.
Sliding into those DMs.
And I got to say, it's been the most fun I've had in a very long time. But we need a little break. So we're actually taking next Wednesday off. So we're going to release our Monday interview. And this week it's going to be another returning guest, Christy and Patrick O'Connell. And the cool thing about that is they are truly friends of the show. And Christy got to test all of the workouts. And she actually talks about what that was like. So it'll be good for you guys to kind of hear what that is. Plus, their YouTube channel is blowing up. We talked about that quite a bit. Anything else, you guys, highlights from that?
No, it's going to be good.
Yeah,
Go
ahead.
Sorry. No, go.
I just smiled the whole way through.
Yeah, they're so sweet.
I just love them. And then Wednesday, what we're going to do is run a second interview for the week. So we can kind of have the week off, just kind of detox from the games season. And that we're going to leave as a surprise. So we have teased you that the lineup we have coming is really awesome. We have some stuff that we've already recorded that's really, really, really good. And so we have a couple more things kind of on the horizon to record, and we want to see how those come out compared to what we have, just for timing's sake. What makes the sense timing wise?
Yeah, because some of the things that we are hoping to record are games related. And so we want to get those out as soon as possible so that, they're timely, and, we keep the sort of that games blood flowing a little bit longer.
Yeah. So we're really excited to share that with you guys. So stay tuned, and we'll kind of give you a sneak peek sometime next week as to who that might be. So we'll
take guesses too. Guesses in the comments. What do you think? What do you think it's going to be?
Who could it be?
You never know.
So then we're going to finish up with the best thing from the internet. Amy's favorite segment.
There's just so many favorite things. It's hard to choose. All right. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm picking the Daddy Wad. If you are not a follower of the Daddy Wad on the Insta, you definitely need to. And what I love about the Daddy Wad, number one, he's been a guest on our show. He's also an athlete at our gym. So this one that he posted today, it just cracked me up because really I coach him, not as often as I'd like to, but I do get to be his coach sometimes. But it says today, wearing a mask to CrossFit is uncomfortable. On the bright side, I've mouthed F you to the coach 4 times and the WOD hadn't even started yet. So it just makes me laugh to think of him. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Kat, what you got?
So Craig Ritchie did a quick little musical montage of highlights from the CrossFit Games, and it was just background music, right? And so, you see Matt and Tia sort of cruising through Atlanta with this elevator music. Every time Matt turns around when he's running, there's a fart noise,
right?
He dropped a bomb and looks away. It was just lighthearted and funny and something fun to watch.
The best part was when Matt and T are doing the elevator music, and then it would go to Carrie Pierce, and it's like AC/DC.
Yeah, she's tearing her
and then it goes to Matt
to
Tia,
this,
and it's a love song.
Yeah, super
Great.
good. That's it.
So
what do you got, Scott?
I watched.
How many do you have?
I just have one.
Just one.
I think.
I think
it's a record.
Come here, baby.
So I watched so much CrossFit videos, so many. Armin, Craig Ritchie, Buttery Bros, us. Our Clyde's After Dark was really good this weekend
Mm-hmm.
when I went back to watch it. So that was cool. So I'm going totally non-CrossFit, totally non-sports. I started watching a show called I Can See Your Voice. It is Ken Jeong. And what happens is they have 6 people come out, lip sync to music. If they are really a singer, they're lip singing to their own song. And they're not famous, so you don't know who these people are. And then you have to narrow it down to figure out who's lip syncing and who's the real singer. And the first episode, I was awesome. Nailed it right down. Second episode, I was terrible. And then the third episode, I was really bad. So it is really fun. And then, so what they do is the contestant picks who they think is faking it. They have a panel of celebrities helping them make the guess.
Mm-hmm.
They make the guess, and then the person comes out and really sings. And if they're faking it, it's out of tune, sucky, the whole bit.
Interesting.
If they are good, they sing like they can, and it blows everybody away.
I have questions about this now. Are the singers the same singers every? They're not. So you've got a celebrity panel.
Yeah.
You have 2 contestants who are
just one.
No, 1 contestant. Okay, and then a panel of singers. How many singers? 6.
6.
Okay.
And
I'm picturing they're new
week.
every different 6 every week. Okay.
And
so is this? Go ahead.
They describe the singer. They don't give you the name. They give you the punk rocker, the grocer, the butcher, whatever, the rock climber, and then they're kind of in their getup from whatever their description is.
Okay.
And then you have to try to figure it out.
Side
Just
note,
very intrigued.
this just made me think of something, which made me think of a great question for future. Oh, we've already talked about it, I think, actually. But my very first concert I ever went to,
Mhm.
Milli Vanilli.
Oh, yes. I remember you telling us that. Speaking of lip syncing.
Speaking of lip syncing. And if
So-
you are so young, you don't know who Milli Vanilli is, look it up.
So yeah, it's a fun show to play along with. They really do a good job letting you try to kind of guess.
And where can we find this?
It's on Fox. So it's right after The Masked Singer.
Mm.
And we've been Masked Singer fans since the beginning. And it used to be I would text Amy.
It doesn't conflict with Supermarket Sweep?
No.
Okay, good.
And I'm caught up on Supermarket Sweep now.
Thank goodness.
Leslie Jones is worth every bit of that show. She is so funny. But yeah. So that's our show for the week. And we want to thank RX Smart Gear again for being our sponsor and being awesome. And Clydesdale 15, all caps, 15% off everything in the store. Go check it out. Get wild leopard print handles if you want.
Yep.
And don't get so excited about the colors and patterns that you forget to use the code.
Don't forget.
And then like, subscribe, comment. We'd love to hear what you thought your favorite moment was. Actually, Bacon sent me today by text his favorite thing from the internet before the show so I could share it with everybody.
Oh, let's hear it.
And it was Paul Rudd taking his daughter out for trick or treat. And Paul Rudd's daughter was dressed as the Wasp from Ant-Man and Wasp. And Paul Rudd was dressed as
The ant?
Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, come on.
I love it.
Ugh,
And he looked so much like Weird Al. Like I had to double take.
that's
Mm.
awesome.
Sure. But yeah, Bacon sent me that this morning. Said, here's my best thing from the internet. But yeah.
Love it.
So like, subscribe, comment, tell us what your favorite moments from the games were. We had a lot of questions in tonight's episode. There's a lot of meat out there
To
for
unpack.
you guys to
Yes.
comment on. So bring it. We want to hear it. You can do that on the podcast platform that you're using, YouTube, social media, whichever way you're going to go. It's going to be awesome. And don't forget, #road to 1,000.
Yes.
Get that subscribe button so that you make yourself eligible for this contest. We'll tell you a little bit more that you have to do, but tune in. We'll have a promo for that so that you guys can capture that, because the contest is going to be sponsored by RX Smart Gear. And you're going to get some RX Smart Gear merch. So check that out, and we will see you next time on the Clydesdale Fitness and Friends.
Bye.
See ya.